Hello and welcome back to EFD, where today we're looking at the greatest partnerships in football history. And no, PVS and Chris aren't on this. 10. Thierry Henry and Dennis Bergkamp. When asked to pick his greatest teammate ever, Thierry Henry didn't pick Messi or Xavi or Zinedine Zidane. Instead, he chose Dennis Bergkamp, the Iceman whose vision and selflessness was the engine of the Frenchman's extraordinary scoring record for Arsenal. By the time Henry joined the Gunners, Bergkamp was already 30, and the Dutchman never reached double figures in the league while playing alongside TT. But when the pair were on song, they made the impossible possible, doing things no one had seen before, including winning the league unbeaten in 2004. Remarkably, neither player won the Ballon d'Or, both finishing runner-up in the contest. But for an outlay of £18.5 million, a steep sum in those days, but now the cost of Vincent Janssen, Arsenal got 346 goals, and moments which came to define the club. 9. Paolo Maldini and Franco Baresi. Few teams can claim to have once had the best defender in the world in their squad, but Milan had the top two in the 80s and 90s. Franco Baresi was the man who made the Italian defences famous, a cultured and clever centre-back who was as tough as he was classy, while his protégé was left-back Paolo Maldini, the son of a former Milan captain. Together, they won 3 Champions Leagues and 5 league titles, including one as Invincibles in 1992. As Maldini lost his pace, he moved into the centre-half spot next to Baresi, and between 1990 and 1996, in 204 league games, Milan conceded just 143 goals. That's 0.7 a game. Madness. Baresi ended his career in 1997, Maldini in 2009, both as captain, both after more than 20 years in the black and red shirt. To this day, only 2 numbers have been retired at the San Siro, in honour of the Rossoneri greats who wore them, Baresi number 6, and the 3 which belonged to Maldini. 8. Esteban Cambiasso and Javier Zanetti. A pair of Argentinians who made their home in Italy, Zanetti and Cambiasso made a combined 1,278 appearances at Inter Milan over 29 years of service. They won 15 trophies together, with Cambiasso anchoring the midfield and Zanetti playing on the left and right in midfield and defence. El Chucho and El Tractor were strong, intelligent and reliable, maintaining high levels well into their 30s. In 2010, when Inter became the first Italian side to win a treble, Cambiasso and Zanetti started together in the midfield in the Champions League final, protecting one compatriot in Walter Samuel and feeding another in Diego Milito. Despite their historic victory, both players were left out of Argentina's squad for that year's World Cup. In a way, a fitting international end for 2 men who quietly did the dirty work and didn't worry about the glory. 7. Dani Alves and Lionel Messi. With Neymar, Suarez, Henry, Eto'o and Ibrahimovic all partnering him at one time, Messi has thrived whoever is alongside him. But perhaps his best relationship was with Dani Alves, whose blistering pace and sensational delivery brought the pair 3 Champions Leagues and 6 titles in 8 years together. Alves' speed allowed him to control the entire right flank and gave Messi license to drift in field, where he'd give defenders PTSD at will. Almost signed by arch-rivals Real Madrid, the Brazilian switched to Barca for an astronomical €35 million and proved to be incredible value, providing 42 assists for Messi before he left for Juventus. That's more than Iniesta and Xavi, both of Rome, at the time of Alves' departure, had laid on 33 goals for the Argentinian. And the right-back summed up the connection best, saying, "When we retire, people will ask, who was the greatest? Messi. And who gave him the passes? Dani." 6. Nemanja Vidic and Rio Ferdinand. The greatest centre-back pairing in the Premier League history, Vidic and Ferdinand formed Alex Ferguson's most fearsome defence, and in 8 years together under the Scot, they conceded 248 league goals in 304 games, a rate of 0.82 a game. The Englishman and the Serb were both intelligent and tough, with Vidic shutting down forwards through sheer force and Ferdinand springing United's devastating counter-attack. During those 8 years with Fergie, Vidic and Ferdinand won the league 5 times, as well as the Champions League, and made a combined 9 appearances in the team of the season. In that triumphant Champions League campaign, they conceded just 6 goals in 13 games, despite facing Roma, Barcelona and Chelsea. They ended up with over 750 games for the Red Devils, and 10 trophies. 5. Andrea Pirlo and Gennaro Gattuso. On paper, could there be 2 players less similar than Pirlo and Gattuso? One was a cerebral, elegant passer nicknamed the Architect. The other was a murderous enforcer who was called the Rhino and picked up 7 red cards and 138 yellow cards in his career, more than 1 every 4 games. But they were united by their club, their country and their will to win. They won the Serie A twice, the Champions League twice and the World Cup in 2006. And their respect for one another made them the perfect teammates. Gattuso even said, "When I see Andrea Pirlo, I ask myself if I can really be considered a footballer." But the defensive midfielders' work rate was what allowed the Azzurri and the Rossoneri to afford a luxury like Pirlo. Later, when Pirlo had joined Juve and Gattuso had retired, the Bianconeri had to use both Arturo Vidal and Paul Pogba to protect their delicate genius, something the Rhino had once done on his own. 4. Ruud Gullit and Marco van Basten. The only two Dutchmen, aside from Johan Cruyff, to win the Ballon d'Or, Van Basten and Gullit spent 6 years together at Milan and 9 years together in the Dutch national team. Gullit was a Swiss army knife, playing everywhere in the midfield and attack, while Van Basten was the classic centre-forward, a lethal finisher who averaged more goals per game across his career than Cristiano Ronaldo. Despite coming from rival clubs in PSV and Ajax, the duo did what Cruyff had failed to do, bringing the Netherlands their first international trophy at Euro '88. They scored 6 out of the nation's 8 goals on the way to glory, both netting in the final, while for Milan they won 3 consecutive titles and 2 Champions Leagues in a row. And they might have been even higher on our list if their success hadn't depended so much on Frank Rijkaard, the unsung hero of both the Orange and Rossoneri. 3. Romário and Bebeto. Brazil had to make an appearance in our top 10, and while we considered Ronaldo and Rivaldo, Pelé and Garrincha, we've plumped for 90s icon Bebeto and Romário. The pair started as enemies, competing for the Pichichi Award when Bebeto played for Deportivo La Coruña and Romário was at the Nou Camp. The rivalry almost broke the squad going into the 1994 World Cup, but with both players desperate to bring home a first title in 24 years, the pair found common ground, giving a joint press conference to announce their newfound friendship. When Bebeto scored against the Netherlands, Romário joined him in a cradle-rocking gesture to celebrate the arrival of his teammate's new baby boy. Brazil scored 11 goals on their way to lifting the cup, and Bebeto and Romário bagged 8 of those, adding a second major trophy to their 1989 Copa America triumph. The experience forged a permanent friendship which survived even when Romário, as the chief executive of the Brazilian club America, sacked Bebeto as a manager in 2010. Today, their work still connects them, as Romário became a senator in Rio while Bebeto was selected as state deputy. 2. Bill Shankly and Bob Paisley. In 1974, Liverpool fans were worried. The manager of 15 years, Bill Shankly, had announced his retirement after 3 English titles and 10 trophies at Anfield, and had handed the reins to his assistant, Bob Paisley, who had represented the Reds as a player and worked for the club as a physio. But rather than surrendering their place on the pinnacle of the English game, Liverpool found new heights. Paisley ran the team for 9 years, winning 6 league titles and, more importantly, 3 European Cups, bringing Liverpool level with giants like Bayern Munich and Ajax. In the course of his tenure, Paisley won 20 trophies, or 1 every 27 games, a better rate than Mourinho, Ancelotti and Alex Ferguson. It was a triumph only made possible by the work of Shankly, who had brought Liverpool up from the second division and empowered the team coaches to bring him their ideas about tactics, about players and about fitness. In that sense, both men owed their success to the other, and without them, Liverpool would be just another club today. 1. Frank Puskás and Alfredo Di Stéfano. It was going to take something special to knock Shankly and Paisley out of first place. Real Madrid is arguably the biggest club in the world, and Frank Puskás and Alfredo Di Stéfano were the ones who established it. As a duo, the Hungarian and the Argentinian Spaniard Colombian won 2 European Cups and 4 league titles, with Puskás finishing and Di Stéfano creating. While they were both at Real, the pair made a combined 433 appearances and scored 361 goals, nearly 3 times as many as Andy Cole and Dwight York bagged as a partnership. Between 1953 and 1964, the top scorer in the Liga was either Puskás or Di Stéfano 9 out of 11 times, and they both remain in Real Madrid's top 5 goal scorers, with the best goal-to-game ratios after Cristiano Ronaldo. They were named in the World XI Team of the Year together on 4 occasions, and perhaps their finest hour was in the 1960 European Cup final. As Real Madrid thumped Eintracht Frankfurt 7-3, Di Stéfano scored a hat-trick. Not to be outdone, Puskás bagged 4. We may never see the likes again. So that was our top 10 best duos, and as usual guys, what did you think? Let us know in the comments below. Did you agree, did you not? Is there anyone else you would have selected? Let us know. And if you've enjoyed this, why not check out Stat Wars with Chris and Pat? Pat probably wins, let's be honest. And as always guys, don't forget to like and subscribe.